Welcome back. The central government has stopped scholarships for minority students from classes 1 to 8 across the country. Now, in response to this, MDMK leader Vaiko on Monday had condemned the union government's decision to modify the eligibility criteria for availing pre-matric scholarship schemes for students belonging to the religious minority communities. He called for continuing the earlier scheme, while previously school students from religious minority communities from Classes 1 to 8 had benefited from the pre-matric scholarship scheme. The union government recently decided to make only students of classes 10 and 11 eligible under this scheme. Michael had said, and I quote, "This is only an assault by the Modi government, which has been targeting the minorities through hate politics." He had said this, adding that his party strongly condemns this action. Let's listen in to some reactions on this story.
एजुकेशन भी फ्री है, दूसरा हम उनको फ्री किताबें दे रहे हैं, फ्री ड्रेस दे रहे हैं और भी बेहतर शिक्षा के लिए जो उनको आवश्यकता है उन आवश्यकताओं की पूर्ति कर रहे हैं। इसलिए इसकी आवश्यकता भारत सरकार ने नहीं समझी है। जो सरकार का निर्देश है प्रदेश सरकार उसका पालन करेगी। सूचना यही आई है सर्वे के माध्यम से कि उसमें ज़्यादातर ज़कात और चंदे से पैसा आया है। कहीं सिचुएशन ये भी बताती है कि वहाँ ऐसे लोग नहीं हैं जो चंदा दे पावे, तो फिर ये गंभीर प्रश्न है कि कहाँ से आ रहा है, फंडिंग कहाँ से हो रही है, तो ये भी पता लगाया जाएगा।
जो फैसला आया उसमें कहीं भी मदरसा शब्द का जिक्र नहीं है। ये पूरे देश के जो अल्पसंख्यक बच्चे हैं जिनको मिलती थी उनकी छात्रवृत्ति बनती गई है, क्योंकि आरटीई के तहत उनको ऑलरेडी जो है शिक्षा के अधिकार के तहत कई बच्चों को निःशुल्क शिक्षा दी जा रही है। ऐसे में दोबारा उनको स्कॉलरशिप देने का औचित्य नहीं था, इसलिए केंद्र सरकार ने बंद किया है। ये बच्चे माइनॉरिटी हैं, अल्पसंख्यक बच्चे हैं, किसी भी मजहब के हों, स्कूल में पढ़ते हैं कि मदरसे में पढ़ते हैं कि मिशनरी स्कूल में पढ़ते हैं, उससे कोई मतलब नहीं है। इसलिए इसका सवाल मदरसे से है ही नहीं है।
सबसे पहली बात तो यह है कि सबको इस बात का इल्म होना चाहिए कि राइट टू एजुकेशन का दायरा मदरसों में नाफिज नहीं होता है। जो ऑलरेडी स्कॉलरशिप दी जा रही है वो भी बंद कर दी जाएगी, तो कहीं ना कहीं ये एक आम जहनों में और गरीबों के लिए एक दुश्वारकुन फैसला साबित होता है। इसलिए मेरी यही गुजारिश है कि इस फैसले पर रिव्यू करने की, इस फैसले को पर नजरसानी करने की जरूरत है, ताकि जो इंस्टीट्यूशन बच्चों को स्कॉलरशिप फराहम कर रहे हैं या जो सरकारी स्कॉलरशिप उनको मिल रही है उसमें किसी तरीके का हस्तक्षेप और मुदाखलत ना हो और बच्चे आसानी के साथ अपनी तालीम को जारी कर सकें।
अब माइनॉरिटी अफेयर के तहत जो मदरसा बोर्ड के बच्चों को जो स्कॉलरशिप मिलती थी अब उसे ख़त्म किया गया है। भारत के मुस्लिम अल्पसंख्यकों की जो हालात हैं वो दलितों से भी बदतर है। तो मदरसा बोर्ड में तो वैसे ही पूरे देश के 3% बच्चे जो गरीब हैं, जो कमज़ोर हैं, उन्हीं वर्ग के बच्चे जाते हैं। अब एक 70 रुपया महीना जो रिम्बर्समेंट मिलता था उसको भी सरकार ने बंद करने का जो काम किया है, उससे चाहे मदरसे में जो बेटियां हैं पढ़ने वाली उनका ड्रॉप आउट रेट बढ़ेगा, क्योंकि मदरसा बोर्ड को सरकार का कोई समर्थन नहीं।
I'm crossing over to CNN News 18's Shireen Elizabeth as well as our UP Bureau Chief Pranshu Mishra to get us more details on this story. Pranshu, can you explain why the government made this move to remove these scholarships?
Well, the central government's viewpoint was that after the 2009, the Right to Education Act, the government is already promising and ensuring free education to students from class 1 to 8. And therefore, the government now feels that, giving this separate scholarship is not necessary, because as per the new constitutional provisions, we are already providing free education up to class 1 to 8. And that's the reason why the central government in a circular to all the states. So in fact, this is not an issue which is just covering the madrasas in state of Uttar Pradesh, but all across the country. The central government's grant for the minority, students, that has been prohibited from this present financial year of 2022-2023. The other point I share to note is that, minorities, of course, comprises the largest chunk of Muslims in this country, but minorities are decided both on the religious as well as the linguistic ground. So in any other states, say, for example, in a southern state, someone who has taken Hindi or is a Hindi-speaking, student will be considered as a minority. We also know that other sects, like, for example, Sikhs in Uttar Pradesh, Jains, Christians, they also comprise of minorities, in almost all the states. So this order of the central government will be prohibiting the scholarship not only of the Muslim students going to madrasas or any other board, but also the other minorities also, for example, Sikhs or Christians, going to various educational institutes. So seeing it totally from the viewpoint of Muslims being targeted, I think will not be actually correct. Yes, the government has decided something. It has its own logic. As I said, the RTI Act's implementation, and therefore government feels that the scholarship 1,000 rupees which comes in from the center school for the minority students of any community and any religion, that has been prohibited all across the state from this financial year.
Pranchu, stay with us. I also want to cross over to CNN News 18's Shireen Elizabeth to get us more. Shireen, what impact are we going to see on the ground happen with this now that this decision has been made by the center, especially when it comes to students?
Already we are seeing that this particular notice that has in fact been put out by the Minority Affairs Minority Affairs website, this has not been taken well by the opposition parties, academicians, experts who have in fact been suggesting there is going to be in fact a large number of school dropouts. Because when we talk about the students, pre-metric students, because this scheme was pre-metric students who comes under the minority community. Apart from that, the Ministry of Social Affairs also have in fact discontinued this scholarship. So that means that includes the SC, ST, OBC and the minority community. Now, these students in general, the experts have been suggesting it's very difficult to in fact enroll them in the school because they don't want to study, they don't want, considering how the situation at home is. But they, when they are in fact, when they are offered uniform, books, study materials and midday meal, they are in fact encouraged to come in large numbers to enroll themselves. But with this happening, this is only going to encourage more school dropouts is what the experts have been suggesting. So it's not just when we talk about Uttar Pradesh, across the country we are seeing that the minority community students, the scholarship for 1 to 8 standard are going to be discontinued, and this is going to create a lot of chaos is what the opposition parties are also saying. They are demanding the central government to in fact roll back this new guideline, saying that under Right to Education Act, the students are already getting free education, they are getting study materials like uniform, books. Then what is the need to provide them with scholarship is wrong, is what the opposition has been saying, because they come from a very lower community, they come from a very community which is very SC, ST community or the minority community, and that's why they need to be encouraged more. This is snatching study or snatching education from the minority community is what the opposition has been claiming. So of course we have to see what is going to be the defense that comes from the Minority Affairs Ministry. But remember, not just the Minority Affairs Ministry but also the Ministry of Social Justice has also in fact discontinued this particular scholarship for the students who come under the SC, ST, OBC community.
All right, Shireen and Pranchu, thank you so much for joining us and for giving us more of a perspective on this story. We will continue to track it. With that, we end this bulletin, but stay tuned for the latest updates and developments on the biggest stories of the day. Thank you for watching and stay tuned.